The photography you hold in your hands or see on your phone screen every day did not just happen naturally. Every mechanism, every lens, and every algorithm is the result of a specific invention at a specific moment in someone's head. And many of those inventions were once considered crazy, impossible, or meaningless before becoming something anyone can do with a single tap. Let's walk along the timeline, stopping at each critical milestone to see how humans pushed themselves into various dead ends, and why solving them completely changed how we perceive reality. Chapter 1. From still paintings to the first image, the painter's dead end. Before the 19th century, if you wanted to preserve the face of a loved one or a beautiful landscape, you had only one choice: hire a painter. But painting had a fatal bottleneck. It was too slow, too expensive, and completely distorted by the subjective perspective of the artist. As early as the 16th century, people knew about the camera obscura, a dark room with a small hole, allowing light to pass through, projecting an inverted image of the outside world onto the opposite wall. It sounded magical, but it was a perfect trap. The image appeared very clearly, but it vanished the moment the light went out. You could see reality, but you were completely powerless to hold on to it. The camera obscura was merely an optical toy, nothing more. That bottleneck was finally broken in 1826. A French inventor named Niépce decided to use chemicals instead of a drawing pad. After years of experimentation, he coated a pewter plate with a layer of bitumen of Judea and placed it inside a camera obscura for several days under direct sunlight. The bitumen hardened in proportion to the light exposure, creating the first photograph in human history. View from the window at Le Gras. Time had finally been frozen. However, Niépce's solution birthed a terrible new limitation. The exposure time was absurdly long, taking days, and the image was extremely hazy. Shortly after, in 1839, his associate, Louis Daguerre, discovered a new light-sensitive substance using silver on a copper plate, known as the Daguerreotype. This technology reduced exposure time to just a few minutes. All of France went wild. Photography studios mushroomed everywhere. For the first time in history, humans could see themselves with absolute precision, without needing an artist's brush. Yet, the daguerreotype trapped itself in a new dead end. Each photograph was a unique, one-of-a-kind object. It was etched directly onto a silver-plated metal sheet. You couldn't make multiple copies to share with friends or family. It was a mirror with a memory, but it kept everything strictly to itself. For photography to truly step out into the world, humanity was forced to find another way to replicate light. Chapter 2. From unique objects to mass imaging, the monopoly of the darkroom. The daguerreotype solved the problem of capturing reality, but it created a massive wall. Elitism. Taking a photo required a cartload of equipment, dangerous toxic chemicals like mercury vapor, and a stationary tripod. Ordinary people could not own a camera, and photos were luxury items locked in velvet boxes, meant only for the bourgeoisie. Furthermore, you still couldn't mass-produce them. If you wanted to give copies of a family portrait to 5 relatives, you had to hire someone to re-photograph the original plate 5 times. That bottleneck was shattered in 1888 by an American entrepreneur named George Eastman. Instead of heavy glass plates and wet chemicals, Eastman introduced a flexible celluloid roll film and packaged it inside a simple box camera named Kodak. His marketing slogan changed everything. You press the button, we do the rest. For the first time, you didn't need to know chemistry or optics. You bought the camera preloaded with 100 shots, took your photos, and mailed the entire box back to the factory. They developed the prints and sent the camera back loaded with new film. Nihilism in photography was dead. Mass consumerism was born. Photography stepped out of the studio and onto the streets, into the hands of amateurs, travelers, and children. Yet this massive leap created a brand new limitation. The world captured on film was entirely stripped of color. It was a monochrome reality, shades of gray, black, and white. Life in color existed in nature, but the camera could only record intensity, not hue. Chapter 3. The Explosion of Color and Speed, the Curse of Chemical Inertia. For decades, photographers tried to bypass the black and white barrier by hand-painting colors onto prints, but it looked artificial and clumsy. The breakthrough came in 1935, when two musicians working for Kodak, Leopold Manns and Leopold Godowsky Jr., invented Kodachrome. For the first time, a multi-layered color film containing microscopic chemical dyes could capture red, green, and blue light simultaneously. The world on film suddenly burst into vibrant, lifelike color. Combined with faster mechanical shutters and precision lenses, pioneered by brands like Leica, cameras could now freeze fast-moving sports, street life, and the chaos of war. However, this chemical perfection trapped humanity in a rigid operational bottleneck. The tyranny of the roll. You were strictly limited to 24 or 36 exposures per roll. Every single shot mattered. More importantly, you couldn't see what you shot. Taking a photo was a blind act of faith. You had to finish the roll, mail it off, or lock yourself in a pitch-black darkroom filled with acidic developer baths, and wait hours to see if your exposure was ruined by a thumb over the lens or poor lighting. If you missed the shot, it was gone forever. The chemical chain of photography was fast, but it had no instant feedback loop. To move forward, humanity had to completely sever ties with chemistry itself. Chapter 4. Breaking Free from the Darkroom, the Digital Revolution. Color film and rapid shutters had pushed chemical photography to its absolute peak, but the entire medium remained shackled to a physical limitation. You could not alter, transmit, or instantly evaluate an image without destroying or waiting on chemicals. Every photo required physical matter, silver halides, paper, and liquid developer. That bottleneck was shattered in 1975, when an engineer named Stephen Sasson at Eastman Kodak built the world's first digital camera. It weighed 8 pounds, recorded images onto a cassette tape, and took 23 seconds to capture a blurry black and white image of 0.01 megapixels. At the time, Kodak management buried the invention, fearing it would kill their highly profitable film business. They were right, but they couldn't stop the future. Throughout the 1990s and 2000s, the development of CCD and CMOS image sensors replaced chemical silver with electronic pixels. Light was no longer converted into a physical reaction on film. It was captured as electronic charges, translated into binary code, and stored on rewritable memory cards. For the first time in history, the feedback loop collapsed to zero. You could take a photo, look at the screen instantly, delete it if it was bad, and take it again. Storage capacity exploded from 36 exposures on a roll to thousands of photos on a chip small as a fingernail. Images could be sent across the planet via the internet in seconds. Yet, digital sensors created a brand new, invisible crisis: the death of truth and the swamp of infinite data. When anyone could take 1 million photos for free, storage became chaotic. More dangerously, because pixels are just numbers, they could be infinitely edited. With software like Photoshop, the camera was no longer a reliable witness of objective reality. If you could alter anything seamlessly, what did a photograph even prove anymore? Chapter 5. From Optics to Algorithms, the Computational Era. Even as digital sensors evolved, they hit a hard physical wall: the optics of size. As smartphones took over the world, consumers demanded devices thin enough to slip into a pocket. But physics dictates that a quality lens needs space to bend light, and a real sensor needs size to gather photons. A slim phone camera should, by all laws of traditional optics, take dark, noisy, flat pictures. The breakthrough came in the 2010s with computational photography. Engineers realized they didn't need to rely solely on glass and physical sensors anymore. Instead of capturing a single static exposure, modern smartphones began shooting dozens of hidden frames simultaneously the millisecond you tap the shutter. AI and algorithms stepped in to instantly stitch them together, remove noise, balance dynamic range, artificially calculate depth of field, and paint in details that the tiny physical lens could never catch. The camera was no longer a mechanical optical device. It had transformed into a computer vision system. And that brings us to the ultimate, ongoing frontier of our modern world: generative AI. Today, algorithms don't just fix or enhance photos. They can generate entirely fake, hyper-realistic images from a text prompt, or alter reality within a frame so perfectly that human eyes can no longer tell the difference. We started 200 years ago trying to solve a simple problem. How do we keep a fleeting image from vanishing? We solved it by capturing light on asphalt, then copper, then film, then silicon chips, and finally through neural networks. But by mastering the image completely, we have arrived at the ultimate philosophical bottleneck. When a machine can compute any reality it wants, does a photograph still capture the truth, or is it just an illusion we chose to believe? Looking back at 200 years of photographic evolution, there is a clear, continuous thread. At every single stage, humanity expanded what we considered possible to capture. At first, we were stuck with static paintings, unable to hold on to a fleeting projection. Then we captured the first blurry image on asphalt, but it took days and couldn't be copied. We conquered duplication with roll film, but were trapped in monochrome. We burst into vibrant color and speed, but remained shackled to the darkroom and the tyranny of the 36 exposure roll. We broke free into the digital realm with silicon pixels, only to face the chaos of infinite data and editable truth. And finally, we bypassed the physical limits of lenses altogether using algorithms and artificial intelligence. Photography is not a fixed set of rules or a static technology that someone permanently imposed on reality. It is an ongoing construction project. Every generation adds a new floor, and every new floor forces the old ones to re-examine themselves. You are living in an era where that construction is still actively being built. There are questions about truth, memory, and perception that remain completely unresolved. And very likely, the most important photographic invention of the future hasn't even been thought of yet. If you found this story compelling, subscribe to explore the next inventions, deeper and more detailed, in the videos to come. Thank you for watching.